granddaughter, okay, and she calls me Pop Pop. Well, I'll tell you some heritage. My grandmother, I actually have met her. She died though when I was in Vietnam, and she lived in Oklahoma. She and her husband, and I saw my grandfather one time when I was pretty young. They lived in Oklahoma, but she and my grandfather rode in a carriage with a horse to stake out property in Oklahoma where you could get 40 acres or something like that, okay? And I've been told the story, okay? And I thought that was pretty good because that's before cars, okay? My grandmother, I think, was close to 90 when she passed away. And she was the very first college educated woman in Oklahoma.
Wow.
And she was a teacher, and they wanted to fire her because she said that the earth was closer to the sun in the summer than it was in the winter.
It's true.
And it is true. But the people didn't understand that we have an elliptical orbit around the sun, but it's pointed towards the sun in summer and away from the sun in winter. And that's why it's colder in the winter, even though the Earth is closer because of the angle. And the Earth had its orbit almost perfectly circular at one time, but 9,500 years ago there was this huge explosion in a star someplace, and it came through here and it rocked our Earth on its orbit, and now we have this 17-degree rotation. And you can read all about that in the book Cataclysm 9,500 BC. Anyway, my mother was friends with a dentist in El Paso, Texas, where I grew up, okay? And she was the first female dentist in Texas, okay? Dr. Isabel Haynes, and she pulled my teeth and filled my crowns and things like that. I can remember her, okay? My dad, he didn't quite finish college. I think that he had finished 3 years. My mother did go to the Oklahoma State Teachers College, and she never taught, okay? But she did sell books, and that's how they met, because he was on the road traveling, and he sold instruments to doctors to perform operations on. Today they do it in hospitals, but back then they didn't. And that was before 1940. I was born in 1941. And he decided to not travel anymore and set up a store in El Paso, Texas, and sold surgical supplies and hospital beds and wheelchairs and stuff like that. And I actually worked in that store. I started when I was about 12 years old, okay? I would sweep the floors, and later on I would wait on people and ran the cash register, and a couple times they took trips, and here I was 15 years old or something like that, and I was there to open up the store and let the other employees in and lock it up at night and count the cash and make the deposits and so forth like that. So I've actually worked since I've been around 12 years old. At 12 years old, I actually had a landscape business, and I mowed 6 lawns in the summer and got paid for it. Okay. And I've worked ever since, okay, and all kinds of stuff. When I was in school, my parents didn't believe in pampering me. My grade school was 10 blocks from my house, and I had to walk every day except when it snowed or rained.
Uphill?
And back. No, uphill in the snow. No, it didn't snow that much. And no, it wasn't uphill. It was pretty flat, okay? But I did. I had my first job teaching swimming to Boy Scouts when I was 12 years old. I was the youngest member on the staff, and I can remember the very first day, the camp director said, everybody was sitting around drinking coffee, and I was the youngest man on staff, okay? He said, Bishop, you want to drink coffee? And who am I? 12? Who am I going to say? Yeah. I said, okay. I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you got to drink it like a man. No cream, no sugar. 52 years later, I still drink it that way. So we've got a long history in my family of being independent, being first, being out front, running our own show and managing our own business. And the last time I was employed by anybody except me was in 1969. And so I've worked myself ever since, okay? So that's enough. I was going to tell some other funny stories about what I did as a kid, but you don't need to know.